What an absolute disaster for one project. Mantra Ohm absolutely collapses in a Luna-style collapse. What does that mean for altcoins as we saw Bitcoin and ETH rally? But what does that mean for the rest of the more riskier altcoins? Is this good or bad for ONDO, for XLM, for the other RWA projects? And have people lost faith and trust in altcoins as a whole? We're going to have that very important discussion. And exactly what the hell happened to Mantra? A lot of stories coming out from one side. The exchanges are saying one thing, the founders saying another thing, the investigators are saying this is all a sham. We're going to talk about all of that. We have a special guest, Alex O, joining us to break down some charts and TA on your favorite altcoins. We're also going to talk about what the SEC has decided to do in regard to the Ethereum staking add-on for the ETFs. They delayed. What does that mean for ETH? Also, Michael Saylor has done it again. How much did he buy and why did they buy? And then what country is looking for a Bitcoin strategic reserve? We're going to talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content where we take old, boring, stale information, repackage the whole thing up in a fun, sexy way, throw some price predictions at you at the same time. And you know what?
What's your price prediction for Mantra?
Mantra, let's see. Will it get back to $1?
It did actually get back to $1.
It's all a little
Then
bounce.
it went back to under $1.
What you know, it just goes to show you that I've said it many times, and has it stood the test of time? Because there's too many unknowns, right? You got VCs controlling tokens, you got the founders or the devs that have the private keys in a multi-sig, and that becomes compromised, like Harmony One. Remember that one a couple years ago?
That was a bridge hack.
No. Harmony One was a
RUNE. Wasn't it a bridge hack? I could have swore it was a
Harmony One. They had three sig wallet that got compromised. Don't know how. I think we can go back into the store if you want. RUNE was a bridge hack. That one's obviously a different crypto. And then you have just story after story. But one thing that these do have in common, RUNE, Harmony One, Mantra, that they haven't been around for that long, right? And when I say not that long, I'm talking about less than 5 years. And a lot of times it's less than 2 years or less than a year sometimes. And as something creates value and as it grows, and you see Mantra, for example, like what was the market cap at its height? Was it like 10 billion or
close to 10, yeah.
Yeah, almost $10 billion market cap. And so basically that's the treasure chest. That's the bounty. For a hacker, hey, look, here's $10 billion worth of tokens. Find a way to exploit it, and you can extract that value. Now, you won't get the full 10 billion, but hey, maybe you get $500 million. Maybe you get $1 billion. Maybe you get $2 billion. Maybe you get just simply 10 million. Either way, a project growing in size and growing in market cap is a bounty to anyone and everyone on the planet that has any computer skills and wants to try to attack the network. Now, maybe it was a coordinated attack. Maybe it was just simply venture capital and privy investors just taking advantage of market conditions and things getting out of control with cascading liquidations. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that over time, if you stand the test of time, you're standing the test of attacks, right? Because even Bitcoin over its history has been attacked several times, and it did have some downfalls in the early days, right? We did have a double spend or a minting of, I think it was like 1 million or 1 million more Bitcoin at one point, and that quickly got patched. But over time, this is basically the big test of security. And so for me, I hate to say, but you got to look at projects like Ethereum that have been around for a while. Now, I might not like the price action. I still think it's a better investment to go with Bitcoin.
Say that one more time.
I'm just saying that from a security and longevity standpoint.
So you find value in that?
Oh, there is definitely value.
For sure.
Yeah. But then there's also value in the fact that it has been at the same price for the last 4.5 years. And, Bitcoin obviously has increased in value. So
I got a chart I'm going to show you later that you're going to love. Speaking of charts, We have our main man, Alex O, joining us. You know, Alex is always in the chat. And I always reach out to him. I say, you know, Alex, we appreciate your support. You watch our show. We love you. You're a great dude. Also, big thanks to Billy. I feel like, you know, Crypto Billy's like the great connector. He connected us with Alex. So he's connected us with a lot of other people. And so I reached out to Alex. It's been a while. We want you back on the show, my friend. Would you do us the honor? And he said, yes. So here he is today. Alex, welcome back to the channel, man. You made the big screen, brother. Congratulations.
Oh, no
Speech.
way.
Speech.
Let's go. The speech is this. I'm on Sin City Crypto. You know, I'll always show up for you guys. And I can't wait to see you in Vegas, man.
Man, we're super excited, brother. You know, we're actually building a set in the back that's perfect for A1 traders. And so we'll talk more about that later. Alex, let's start with the obvious mantra. Now, I know there's not really TA you can do on a coin that falls 92% on a 10-minute candle, but I might have heard through the grapevine, some traders actually made money. Were you one of those traders? And what were your thoughts as you were looking at the chart and seeing this thing absolutely fall off a cliff?
Oh, it was good. You know who made money on this one? I mean, Billy made money on this one. Speaking of Billy, he managed to long it. He messaged me this morning, which is amazing to see. You know, Billy, we're on to you, Billy. But yeah, massive drop. I mean, you know, things like this you don't typically expect. I mean, dropping from $6 all the way down to 50 cents and a little bit of relief back up. But I mean, that's the game we play. I think in crypto, you have to be prepared for some of your tokens to go to zero, right? That's why we say, you know, never fully, you got to be diversified. I think you guys do a great job here on helping people diversify and not being overexposed to one token or the other. And I think that's critical. I really commend you guys for doing that.
I appreciate that. You know, it's so true because really anything can happen. Anything can happen to ETH, anything can happen to Chainlink, like, even the ones that have been around a while, you just never know.
I was going to say, also, nothing can happen just like ETH, you know, like just nothing happens.
This guy,
I was on Team ETH too with Rob. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I did sell all my ETH at 4,000. Like, one of my best sells to date. But like, honestly, I was Team ETH like all day with Rob, like all the way up.
I mean, I first was saying like, hey guys, I've lost faith in ETH, at least on its price action. I do think that it will have a utility. I think it'll be around. I don't think it's going to zero. I don't think it's going to mantra or nothing. But you know, I was talking about this around $2,800, and so I mean, it's down, you know, about 40% from that point. And well, I mean. You know, Bitcoin's down, but not nearly as heavy as ETH.
Guys, we're talking about mantra here for a second. Speaking of mantra, and then Alex will move on to a Bitcoin chart. But when you you know, you do charts all day long. I do charts as well. At what point are you able to go back to a chart like mantra and attempt to do any TA on it, or is that something you just kind of put on the back burner? Are you still looking at it, looking for opportunities for maybe a long or even maybe a short? If you think it's going to get more to the downside.
So with a chart like mantra, it's basically returned back down to its beginning time. So for me, it's about developing that support level, just like anything else. Like even with what's happened in the market right now, we're looking for confirmation bias, mostly on Bitcoin, and then we're looking to get back into alts, right? And I think being able to be patient enough to see like the bottom and the dust kind of settle is always what I look for as a trader, and then we can go and do some TA off of that. And manage our risk. Because right now it's about managing risk. If you're getting long on this thing, you're really putting yourself at a level of vulnerability. So it's like, wait for it to develop, give it a couple of days, right? And let's see what we get for some key levels and then try to base our trades off of that. That's typically how I'll treat it. Like this is obviously, it blew right past that $3.50 levels for support. So it was like, it's gotta prove, you know, it's gotta prove that it's not still dead. Alive kind of deal, right? They're still trying to.
We need signs of life.
Now.
Okay, we need signs of life, a breath, something. Okay, Alex, off of onto BTC. You know, I put a post out over the weekend, and we were almost. It looked like, and I'll pull up my chart if you want to pull up yours.
Okay, you show me yours.
Show me. I'll show you mine. You show me yours. The good old days, right? So on the weekly, what I was eyeing, Alex, was a dual candle engulfing candle. Okay. And so this is what I was looking at was this candle right here. And so we had already engulfed the previous week, and we engulfed it on a wick, but obviously that doesn't count. We need to engulf it on a close. And I referenced the same exact setup back in 2021, where you had a weekly candle engulf the prior to, and Bitcoin rallied its next leg around 90 to 100%. That is what I was looking forward to, and it was looking really, really good on Saturday. But then we came out and, Howard Lutnick was like, oh, hold on, there's no easing of tariffs on tech and this and that. And then Trump came out and said, yeah, no one's going to get away from tariffs. And the markets kind of went down. And then the thing happened, which didn't really have that big of an impact on BTC. But what are you seeing on Bitcoin? How are you interpreting the price action? And then what are you expecting over the next, let's say, 30 days or so?
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. For me, Bitcoin, it really, it upset me, the fact that it didn't tap this high here on our Bybit chart. Okay, going back to the weekly. And I love what you're looking back at. That's like incredible. Sorry, I got a new mouse. It's like totally turbo time here. But I love that engulfing that you've seen in here. For me right now, I really, really don't like, I don't like this bottom. That's my problem right now, is we did not sweep this low in here. And I've been like, oh man, this is like V-shaped recovery territory. Yes, we can push out of here. But for me, it's about looking for this pullback and how it reacts here. We still have a lot of liquidity. And what I've been eyeing really in the last 2 weeks is that we need to get above this. So as we broke down over here, we never really have returned back into this area in here. So if we're treating this like a range, and we have been so far, and we have a very big sticking point here, right around 81,000. So that's typically where I'm eyeing for some sort of retracement. But coming back into this zone, if we're looking at this on a big time frame right now, we can see that we clearly have broken down. And a lot of people, all those people drawing their trend lines here are like, oh, we're breaking out, we're going to the moon now. And that's valid. I understand this. This is, a lot of people make money off this. So that retracement would be ideally coming back down to that 81,000 area and holding that value area low. My concern is that we haven't taken that high, or we haven't taken that low. So for me right now, it's if this, then that kind of trading, where yes, we've pushed up above our POC here, and we're trying to push up and rotate to that $89,000 area. But for me, it's very, very likely that we still have a rotation back down into here and then have that continuation. I don't think we're out of the woods yet, but that's for the market to really decide. I mean, Orange Man tweets and we have a big blast off every now and then. So that could possibly happen in here. But I'm definitely eyeing up back down to 81s, some of my key levels here. I was really upset we didn't put in a nice wick into 71.6. I'm very much in the idea that when they send price to go away, right? I keep talking about this on my stream, is they don't really give you an opportunity to get back in, right? We look at this is our previous range. We came down, that was our carry trade. We came back in here, and then we never gave us, we didn't even retrace golden pocket in here when we actually took off and pushed up into December there, right? So it goes and then it doesn't give back. And I'm really looking for that to happen where we're trading right now. So I would like to see, if we are going to go, I would like this to go, right? And not give back and get out of here. But I'm very, very cautious in the sense that, hey, we are still bearish as long as we're in a downtrend here. So for me, I'm looking for that retracement around 81 and looking for the continuation out of here for now for Bitcoin. And other than that, I mean, for me as a scalper, this is like paradise with the volatility. So we're enjoying it nonetheless. That's what Alex, I'm looking at for Bitcoin.
Alex, that's a daily, correct? Daily time frame?
That was a 12-hour there, but yeah, the daily as well we were looking at as well.
So if we do, and if you want to throw your chart back up, Alex, if we do get that retracement to 81, what I'm seeing is the formation of an inverse head and shoulders pattern with that retracement down to 81 being that right shoulder. And then, of course, those have a very high probability of breaking out to the upside. And so to me, that's what I was seeing on the on like a pattern setup. I don't know. Are you seeing that?
I love that. And I love that there's so much honestly, there's so much to take up here because we really just chopped sideways for so long and then just dumped, right? So this is just, it's for the taking, that 100,000.
Yeah.
And I really like to, like, if we look at this generally of what happened this whole cycle on the weekly, I was looking at this more long-term timeframes, is that on Market Cipher, we have exactly a repeat 3 times here, right? So we have a head and shoulders up at the top, a trigger wave pushing up, a head and shoulders up at the top, a trigger wave at the top. We had a double top here, but we have a beautiful momentum wave forming up right now and a VWAP crossover. So if this is to repeat, right, we had the push, sideways, push, sideways, push, sideways. What's next? It would say push, right? If we were to continue here, and that would be a nice push all the way into, June, July. So that would be quite a nice relief rally that we could look for. I'm not sure if we come for the highs just yet, but if we can reclaim that 90,000 with that inverse head and shoulder that you're talking about, that would be ideal for us to push back up into that key target zone up there. So I do like what you're looking at as well. That looks amazing. Quite bullish as well.
No, that's great on Market Cipher B. That was awesome. Alex, we did get a special request from a caller. They wanted you to look at ETH. I don't want to dox this person, but they were curious. He wants to know what's a good entry to get in on ETH. And so
awesome.
If you don't
so
mind.
I just did some TA on ETH, and I got a whole bunch of entries for my community. So you're privy to the information always at Sin City Crypto.
Love it. Thank you.
So bottoming structure on ETH is actually a lot better than Bitcoin. Beautiful bull divs down in here. Okay, we never came to like, this is my dread zone. This is the $1,300 level. Can't believe that's coming out of my mouth. However, right now we're looking for the bounce of 1615. That's kind of where we're at right now for continuation. And then if we are coming for that $81,000 area, we're all looking at $1,504 here. So looking to come back in, sweep some of this liquidity, and then bounce out of there. But yeah, right now we're looking for continuation. My biggest concern with ETH, and Bitcoin has not done this, but ETH has, is it has swept this high. Okay, so ETH mitigating this high suggests that liquidity can come back down into this area in here. However, right now we are getting a push off of this area that we were looking earlier today. So I would look for some sort of bottoming structure within here and a bounce. And you could easily take this back up to your 1721 or key level 1782 is something that I would really like to see ETH recover right now, because ETH is literally, it's fallen off a cliff here, right? So to reclaim 1780 would give me a lot of hopium that we could see a potential pushback here. And like you said before, what would that create? That would create that big head and shoulders pattern in a different direction, which would be quite nice for Ethereum. So I'm looking at those key areas for ETH. If this, then that trading, right? Just very patient. Like we said, we want to see the bottoming structure form here. We could have that one more sweep and go. But for me, it's you don't want to miss the gravy train, right? All the way up. And yes, I just said that.
Shout out to Ashley. Okay. What about, let's talk a little bit about XRP, if you don't mind, Alex. XRP, it's I'll argue it's the most retail friendly coin from my personal anecdotal standpoint. 90% of people who are not in crypto that mention crypto are mentioning XRP. What are you seeing on the XRP chart? That $1.96 to $1.97 level was pretty strong. I know we kind of got a couple of closes below, but what's the XRP chart look like now that we're over $2 again?
And for me, this is extremely hard to say, but it's honestly the best chart in crypto right now. I said I would buy XRP at $1.50. We never got there. There's also another level around $1.30 here, but the reclaim that it has had just now back above this $2 is so important. Okay, so we have a very nice V-shaped recovery here. Okay, so I'm looking, if $2 holds, we're looking to get long in here. If we see any sort of bottoming structure at $2, we're looking to take this all the way back up to the highs, which is right around 250. As we can see, we have resistance in here. That would be the target of this move. But if we are to sweep, just like a lot of these tokens are looking the same right now, but if we go into like a 4 hour, we can see that we have this aggressive push up, right? So this happened on Bitcoin, where we pushed back, we retested previous highs, and then we have since created this liquidity in here. So this is my concern for a lot of these tokens. is that we've pushed up pretty aggressively here. And you can see it around all of crypto, especially on like Solana. Solana really pushed and left a lot behind. So like we said, if they're going to push it up, right, they're going to leave a lot. They're not going to let people get long again. They're just going to send it, right? And I think that's, typically what the market wants to do if they're going to put it in a bottom. However, if we do bounce back down, we're looking at this 192 golden pocket area, sweep of the lows in here for a potential bounce. But hey, if $2 holds, we zoom out here, we can see that $2 has absolutely been a great support level. So holding that $2 and pushing back up to the top of the range, right around 250, is ideal for XRP right now. Just it's a great chart. It's shown a lot of strength in these hard times, I would say. So even though the dump from here over, it's actually pushed back quite aggressively. And I actually had a friend that I golf with who doesn't invest in the S&P 500 ask me about XRP.
Telling you,
I
bro.
said,
it's
you want to wait, man.
It's all day long, man. It's like I feel like every other person. Alex, let's talk about if you don't mind, can we take a peek at a Hedera chart? Got a lot of people in here that are HBAR fans. What are you seeing on HBAR? A lot of inverse head and shoulder setups on a lot of these alts and even BTC.
It's wild. Yeah. So whenever I'm looking at this, right, I love deviation from ranges, right? So there's a trader in my Discord. He absolutely only trades basically Hedera, right? And you can see the deviation we have in here. So we do have support here at like 16 cents, I would say, and would like to see it close clearly above these highs here at like 17.5. But the real job is going to be getting back above 18 cents here. That's the doozy in my opinion. Now, HBAR, the chart's not as nice as XRP. We do have much more of a bleed out here. So yeah, reclaiming, holding these levels in, and it's basically a big order block retest right in here. So you've had that retest in here, and as long as we're holding in here, we have the opportunity to try and push up into this range here and develop that, that support level, support and resistance flip so that we can aim up. My key levels is 27. Really getting back up to the median of this range in here is going to be ideal, but we're not out of the woods yet. However, there's like a lot of, I would say, positive outlook for especially these ISO 200 tokens, right? They've obviously done well this run, and they've held their ground. So for me right now, it's a bit of if this then that. If we can push up and reclaim that 18 cents up in here, that's going to be very bullish, in my opinion. Just like before, we have that aggressive push up from the bottom. So that creates a lot of liquidity that we could be interested in taking. If I was to say trade setup wise, I'd be looking for a retrace back into the golden pocket here, 786, and then a continuation upwards. So just waiting to see if we can put in a nice structure to the upside is going to be critical for continuation here on HBAR, because we do have a nice set of higher highs and higher lows. So if we come into this area here, we look for some sort of bottoming structure and a higher low, we can fire off a long look to take this thing all the way back up to that 18.2 cent area. And that would be my outlook for now. And obviously holding this general zone, this order block from the previous range over here on our way up, the previous highs as well over here, right? So that's going to be critical in order to continue this run and possibly push back up into that golden like 28 to 30 cent zone.
Awesome. And then Alex, before I let you go, I know you said XRP is the best looking chart, but is there a chart that you are looking at for a potential trade setup that you don't mind sharing with the people watching?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us right now, like I typically main trade these tokens in here, but we've been trading, looking at SUI for altcoin plays, and sometimes Fartcoin. I'm not going to get into the gas coin right now because it can be a little bit scammy for anybody new to trading, but it's done really well. We took a SUI trade from down here at $2, but for now we have done a support and resistance flip, and we have a nice range in here between 218 and 236, and it's a nice move. Like this is quite a juicy 10% move here. So as long as we can hold within here, okay, we want to hold that level there and look to try and take this to the top of the range. So that's kind of what I'm eyeing up this week. If we can hold, right, a lot of these things do look like they have a chance to push a little bit higher, and Bitcoin is pushing as we speak right now with a little bit of a liquidity grab. So possibly that push for Bitcoin can help catalyze everything else pushing up as well. Because Bitcoin right now, in my opinion, we're looking for Bitcoin to come up into about, my key level is going to be around 87.5 to 88.5. So if Bitcoin does that, then we can look for a lot of those altcoins to rotate that 10% up to the top of the range. And that's what I'll be looking at.
Awesome. And then Alex, before I let you go, part two, with the amount of uncertainty and kind of volatility, and uncertainty from the standpoint of we don't know what the hell Trump's going to say, when he's going to say it. One tweet positive will pump the market. One tweet negative will dump the market. So what is your piece of advice for people that are trading on leverage? The advice I gave, for example, was, hey, take profits. Don't be afraid to take profits early because anything can happen, right? Set lower take profit targets and work the lower time frames for your TPs and set really tight stop losses. That's been mine. Any piece of advice you can give for people that are trading in the times of Trump and all the uncertainty?
Yeah, absolutely. It's in a condition like this, and you're looking to trade. Like for me, for example, like we took a trade this morning, very simple, long off of the lows here. But for me, it was understanding where your targets are, where our risk was. We got out pretty early. We paid ourselves, right? When you have volatility like this, right, you're typically looking to reduce your risk, right? So how do you do that? You position size down. I think that's the critical thing, is that whatever you're normally trading, because the market's moving, right, you're going to get your 1% to 2% fluctuation. In a bear market, you're lucky to get 0.5% move all day long. So this is like scalper's paradise, like I said. But in an environment like this, that means your stop losses hit just as easy as your take profits getting hit, right? So when you reduce your margin and you trade with half a position size, you get a little bit more wiggle room to your 1% risk to reward. So that allows your trades to actually play without getting stopped out so much. And then be patient. I mean, you see a green candle, you see a red candle, it doesn't mean buy or sell, right? Set your key targets, have your plan, execute the plan, and manage yourself. I think there's a lot of euphoria where the market's moving so quickly, and it's about self-management and discipline. And if you can do that, you can be successful.
Amazing. Alex, always a pleasure having you on, my friend. Tell people where they can find you if they want more Alexo.
Absolutely. No, we're always trading Monday morning to Friday morning, 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. Come by and hang out. YouTube, we're crushing it. So we have a lot of fun, and thank you guys for having me on. It's always a privilege.
Awesome, brother. And we do have Alex's YouTube channel, the link pinned to the top of the comment section. Make sure you go subscribe to our friend Alex. Again, my friend, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Take care, guys.
Take care. All right. Before we move on, I want to give a big thank you to our first sponsor, Cams, Blue Wire Technology. By the way, Cams, if you're listening, we'll be giving you a call soon. We got 2 more network switches to put up. And if you run a business and IT and cybersecurity maybe isn't your area of expertise, Cams has you covered. The bluewiretech.com, go visit it or click the link in the description of the video. So big shout out to them. Our longest tenured sponsor for what? Almost 3 years now. So Cams, we love you guys. Thank you so much. With that being said, do I want to go Trump or do I want to go mantra? Let's go mantra. Okay. What happened? But more importantly, what does it mean for the rest of the space? Okay. So let's break this down. Mantra. I saw a comment in here. I know nobody that had money in mantra. Just because you had nobody, you knew nobody, doesn't mean that people didn't have money in it. So
it is probably highly centralized into certain whales, right? I feel like the retail that we're familiar with, the ones that watch our show, aren't really invested in this. It being an RWA play, I feel like a lot of institutions, it was probably institution heavy on the investors. I know that they had a lot of venture capital investment as well.
I got all that. Don't worry, Mike.
Yeah. So,
by the way, this is a 10-minute chart.
It's crazy.
This is a 10-minute chart, not a daily or a weekly, a 10-minute chart. So you wake up, you're like, all right, enjoying my coffee, whatever else you do in the morning. I don't know. Hug your wife.
Real quick, and we can circle back to this, but just quick insight. Do you think other projects that are new to the game that have heavy venture capital investment are also at risk for something like this to happen? And
this was
Sui comes to mind. Also, maybe Toncoin, Hyperliquid, Pi. These are ones that are in the top 30, got there pretty quickly, and don't really have a tokenization spread out. And so I think at the end of the day, from my conclusions, a lot of this came from a lack of liquidity, it seems like, and liquidation. So
I'm going to cover all that in the stuff I have together, and then we can talk about it. So the short answer is maybe. It's not a clear answer, but it's a short answer.
yeah,
So this happened, and everyone's like, what the hell happened? The first thing you think of is a hack. This is a top 30 project, 6-7 billion in market cap. No way a rug pulls, right? It's a hack. Then we find out it's not a hack. Well, here's a story, okay? So this was from Token Metrics. So to kind of answer your question in a way. So firstly, there were plenty of red flags leading up to today, which was yesterday. They had changed their tokenomics. The foundation held 90% of the supply. Foundation and investors postponed the community airdrop. They used OTC deals to prop up prices and the tier one market makers to inflate the prices. Now, what's crazy is I was on the Mario Nafal Spaces yesterday. There's like 50,000 people listening. And there was a couple people that were in there saying they had been hit up in their DMs weeks ago, getting offered $1 to $5 million positions at sometimes 60 to 70% discounts OTC to what it was trading on the open market. 60 to 70% discount. That is not normal. Okay? That is not in the slightest sense. 20% maybe, 30% you're pushing it. But 60% OTC, that was a red flag to a lot of people. And then this is kind of where you clearly see what happened. Now, the team has denied this. The exchanges are blaming the team. The team is blaming the exchanges. They're trying to say it was a liquidation. We'll get into that in a second. But here's an update posted by Cointelegraph. You can see here a wallet linked to Mantra and their investors deposited $230 million in tokens. I think it was like 23 million or like 30 million in tokens to OKX just 3 days ago, which spurred a lot of like, hey, what's going on here? Why is this happening? Then we had the response from Mantra. We want to assure you that Mantra is fundamentally strong. Today's activity was triggered by reckless liquidations. What kind of liquidation takes a project down 92% in 20 minutes? Right?
I think the big thing here is a lack of liquidity. And I think that over the price, as you mentioned, was not a correct reflection of token holders' value, right? Everyone was buying at a lower price or propping up the price. Compound that with a very low liquidity balance or very thin liquidity on the exchanges. And then it doesn't take much, right? You take a couple whales, perhaps some leverage position. You take some early investor, maybe developer, who knows, foundation wallets, wherever it came from. There was some early investors, some early day wallets holding big numbers of tokens. That $227 million worth of Mantra tokens, that was still less than 5% of the supply. And so at less than 5% of the supply being sold, I think even in that scenario, it just shows you that the liquidity was not there. The order books weren't deep. I mean, if you sell 4% of a supply, yeah, you should see a hit in the price, 100%, But if it collapses over 90%, I think that's just a sheer indication that there was just no liquidity in the markets. And, the chat kind of nails it when they talk about, I don't know anybody that owns it. That's what I'm saying. Like if I don't own any Mantra, you don't own any Mantra. I don't know anybody here that owns Mantra, yet it's a top 20 asset. Then where's that liquidity? Who's buying it? And if it's only a handful of individuals and they're buying it at discount over the counter, it's just a recipe for disaster. Then you throw in market manipulation, a a mismatch on price versus what the market is indicating, things like this will keep happening. That's why before we even got into it, I was like, hey, man, do you think that other market manipulated price tokens that are heavily held by a small group of individuals, that if they sell 4% of a supply for some damn reason, the whole thing comes undone? Because there's no depth in the order books. It's interesting, right? I mean, do you think that, I don't think that, okay, I'll put it this way. I don't think there's any kind of coordinated event here. There's heavy, deep investment out of Dubai. They had investors like Google Cloud. There was a lot of big players in there. So I don't think that there was an intentional rugging, I guess you could call it, from the developers and the founders. Now, could it have been a coordinated event from venture capital? My personal opinion, I think that some whales got greedy. Other whales were over leveraged. The market was mismatched. You combine that with the perfect storm of barely any liquidity, it starts to tank. Trigger event, sold 4%, no liquidity, cascading liquidations, boom, 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 all the way down. That's what I took away from it. I tried to research. I was like, there's got to be more to this. Like, was it a hack? I'm like, well, no, it's on the Cosmos SDK, which we haven't had any historical hacks from that standpoint. They're very strong, network bridge of sort, or interconnected network. And so the hack was easily ruled out. And then you're just like, I don't know. I mean, I think the Terra Luna is the thing that pops to my head first, right? Irresponsible token management. People got cocky, and, well, liquidity wasn't there. The fundamentals were broken, and it all went down.
So this is from the founder, JP Mullen. And the other thing was, everyone's like, well, this is a rug. Well, the problem was the team was at an event in South Korea. And so everyone's like, yeah, if they were going to rug it, none of it made sense. And so I said, guys, I woken up and I'm getting the complete breakdown of what's going on. There was a massive forced liquidation from a large investor on a centralized exchange. Then, this as well, saying, hey, we really appreciate it. This happened during low liquidity hours on Sunday. Points to a degree of negligence or possibly intentional marketing or market positioning taken by centralized exchanges. So they're essentially blaming the likes of OKX and Binance. Speaking of Binance, they said, we are aware that Mantra has experienced significant volatilities. Our initial findings indicate that developments over the past day are a result of cross-exchange liquidations. A lot of people are like, hey, was it Binance? Was it Binance? And JP Mullen said, no, it wasn't Binance. Then OKX came out and said, hey, these guys changed their tokenomics and they made a lot of weird changes to their token system a few months ago. And so it's just a finger pointing game. And then you have, it just doesn't make sense to me. Justin Sun, what are you doing? Listing Mantra? Just interesting. We talk about low liquidity, and I guess they got the tokens for pretty cheap, right? But Robin, the moment I've been waiting to show you. Mantra went down 90% today, but the yearly performance is still better than ETH. Look at that. Okay. So let's talk about, well, before we talk about, I want to give a big thank you. Today's show is also brought to you by Stake.us, the #1 social casino in the entire world. We are proud to have them on as a sponsor. If you're sitting around and you're like, hey, look, I got a little extra money. I want to have some fun, do a little social game, the social playing. You can go to Stake.us, or if you're global, Stake.com. Use the link in our description. Then you can play some of your favorite games. I saw some dude win like $3 million in Plinko.
What about Keno?
And Plinko. Anyways, use the link in our description, sign up for an account, win free stake cash, and then redeem it for crypto. So with that,
I want to give a little stake shout out to our viewers. So for those of you that are new, say hello. We'd love to give you a little stake recognition. And so we got Muckin, Miles, Anthony, Albert, Lucky, Jerry, CJM, Caspa Jeremy, Wick's wife, Sniper Nightmare, Nick,
Wick's wife,
A. Lerm, Cliff Smith, Brandon Tyndale, Justin Justice, who said he just subbed, by the way. And then you got Ben Simmons and Stan.
You missed one. What about Chandrakant?
He's been here before. He's not new.
What up, my Chandra?
And so to all of you, all the new people, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Shout out brought to you by Stake. Go do us a favor. Link in the description. Go sign up. Go give it a test. Go give it a spin. Go give it a whirl. Help out the channel because we like steak and we want to represent. So there you go.
I also love eating steak. So, the first thing that came to mind when I saw this happen with Mantra is this is why you get Bitcoin maxis, right? When you first come into the space in the crypto, you're so excited. Oh man, I just made $500 on this little coin and this altcoin down the list, and then you get really, really euphoric and hyped up. Like, well, what if I can hit a 20 million project? Now I get in early and it goes to 2 billion. That's 100x. Oh my God. So you get into that mentality and then shit like this happens. And over a course of time, you become a Bitcoin maximalist to some degree. And that's all I kept thinking is, this happens to a top 30 project, it's going to send people to longevity and to quality, right? Bitcoin and ETH rallied the most after this went down. Okay, and I'm not trying to start an ETH conversation here, but to me, I look at this as this is going to make people realize that the hot new flashy thing that's not been proven is far riskier sometimes than the reward is. And if you are in those projects, you should reevaluate, or at the very least, have a very aggressive profit-taking strategy. There's a reason why projects like Cardano and Ethereum and Chainlink and Hedera and Algorand, and I can go on and on and on, have been around for a while, and they continue to retain their market share, is because shit like this does not happen. So people feel comfortable parking their money there for a longer term period. Now, of course, anything can happen, but this is, I think, a wake-up call for a lot of people is to say, narrative isn't going to do anything for you. Hopes and dreams are not going to do anything for you. It's what do you have now? What are people going to use your blockchain for now? Do you have the users now? Do you have the liquidity now? And do you have the test of time on your side? And so I think this is going to accelerate that flight to quality narrative that I've been talking about for a while. What are your thoughts on the overall effect of Mantra kind of going down? And I also want to throw in this question. Would you advise anyone who's thinking about, hey, if it wasn't a hack and it wasn't a rug, this might be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get in at 50 cents, seeing how much traction Mantra had. What do you say to that? And what do you think about the overall effect?
It's too late in the bull market for that risk of a play. If it was, let's say,
Why do you say that?
If we were currently in the middle of a bear market, and let's just say 2 years has passed since Mantra exploded on price, at least, and the team is still there, and this team is still making progress, then yeah, I think that's worth a shot if you're interested. You still believe in that team. I mean, don't look any further than Ethereum. I mean, honestly, Ethereum had its original hack, which split the chain down to ETH Classic, where transactions got rolled back. Obviously, that had a massive price collapse at the time, pretty much blew up the whole crypto market. And then after that, there was a great buying opportunity. A lot of people could have told you, like, why the hell would you buy ETH? It had a hack. They rolled it back. This manipulation, like, this is stupid. You can say the same thing about Bitcoin after its hack. And after 4 years, after it was 3 to 4 years after the white paper. And so that might have been a good time to enter. But at the same time, these things, in all of these instances where things have bounced back and rebounded, it was all after a long a long time. And so I would say to you, if you're interested in Mantra, do not buy it now at all. There will not be a quick price rebound. And if it does rebound, it will probably be next bull market cycle. I would say 4 to 5 years from now. And you can definitely buy it cheaper than it is now. Who knows where the bottom is?
How much
But-
cheaper than 95% can you get, though? I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not telling people to go buy it. I'm playing devil's advocate. Like how much?
95%. I mean, you
Another 95%?
yeah, drop it down to 98%. Like, I mean, honestly, like, okay, 98, 90. What is it? What is it? Okay, each percentage is substantially lower. Like when you get down to that price point. Here's the thing: like, if you go from where is it at right now? 5 cents,
50 cents.
Yeah. So or 50 cents. So when it was at
48.
it was at like 75 cents yesterday, right? And then at one point is at 50 cents. Okay. And then did it dip down to like 30 at all? Basically where I'm getting at. Let's just say that Mantra went from, I might just kind of give you a little numbers kind of explanation here. So it's under 40 cents. But if you look yesterday, okay, here's an example. Yesterday was at above $1, right? So yesterday was at $1, and then today it's at 50 cents, right? And so that's a 50% drop. But from its all-time high, from here to here, if you were to look at it from market high to this point, you're talking about 92 to 94% difference. And so when you say how much lower can it go? Okay, 92 to 94 doesn't sound like a lot, or 92 to 93.5 doesn't sound like a lot. Or if you're down 94% and you go down to 95.5, then it might not sound like a lot, but that would mean going from 50 cents down to 12 cents. And if you were to buy it at 12 cents and it rebounds to $1, then you're up 100%. So when you say like, oh, what's a good time to buy? It's down 92%. What's the difference between 92 and 94? When you're talking about that big of a price swing, it's a massive, massive, massive entry point. And so when I say like, this is not the bottom, will it go to 10 cents? Will it go to 5 cents? It's not even down under its 1 year mark. And so to sit here and think that it can't go lower is like, wake up. It can definitely go way lower.
It is below its 1 year mark, by the way.
Okay, well, it can go lower than that, right? I mean, you look at ICP, right? Mismatched market price. That's a completely different dynamic. That was, Alameda Research, market makers taking advantage of a new project, dumping. Anyways, but at the end of the day, you saw that something went from $200-something. You could sit here and say, like, guys, this doesn't, how much lower is ICP going to drop? It was at $280, and now it's at $10. Like, it dropped 90 whatever percent. Like, how much lower is it going to go? Like, bro, like, get the all-time high out of your head and look at the current price. Where is it at right this moment, and where is it going to go? And look at it from that standpoint. Anyways, I think there's money to be made there, but do not buy it anytime soon. This is going to collapse a lot further.
Luna had a bounce too, and then it went to zero. So, I don't know. I'm not touching this thing. There's just so many other projects that I just would rather stick my money in. I did do a poll. I'm curious to get the people watching. Also, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Are you buying this Mantra dip? So make sure you vote. Right now, it's 72-28 no. All right, let's talk about some news that happened over the weekend. This was pretty big. It didn't get a lot of hype. Maybe it's because it was the weekend. But White House says gold reserves may be used to purchase Bitcoin as part of their strategic or their budget neutral ways. And so this is currently ongoing. You also have this today. Breaking, Swedish Prime Minister or MP files formal request for the country to evaluate a national strategic Bitcoin reserve. So this is written in Swedish. I can read it, but I don't want to. Saying, hey, we have a gold reserve in a vault here. The USA, and I can't read all of it, but it pretty much says, hey, the USA has one. We should look into getting one. And although Sweden's not the largest economy in the world, it's not even I don't even think it's top 20 or 30. But this is a trend that we've kind of been talking about. The USA does it. Others will follow. Trump launches a meme coin. Javier Milei follows. So very interesting. But could we see the broader European Union do something? So I don't know. I think we're in the race of who can acquire and build up their Bitcoin strategic reserve the highest. And here comes Sweden joining the ranks. Now, this is not something that has been voted on or has been approved. It's just been brought to the table, and you're going to see more and more of this moving forward. Speaking of BTC, Michael Saylor, again, buying Bitcoin. MicroStrategy has acquired 3,459 BTC, worth around $285.8 million, at an average price of $82,618. And they now hold 531,644 Bitcoin, acquired for $35.92 billion, which brings up their average cost basis to $67,556. Rob, thoughts on all of it?
Well, Michael Saylor is finally not buying the top. It's been a while.
When he bought it, I think it was a top.
No. I mean, the top at
Not the top now.
106,000. And, he had a lot of buys over 100,000.
Talking about
a lot of buys at 98,000 and a lot of buys at 97. Some of those historic buys for how much money, the buys that he spent the most money on, it wasn't the most Bitcoin acquired, but the one that he spent the most money on was around, I think it was like 98,000. And then he had a couple buys at over 100. And so congratulations, Michael Saylor. You've joined the DCA club and got a good entry position there. So,
wow.
It's over $500,000 his wallet.
Over $500,000?
I mean, 500,000 Bitcoin, excuse me, for MicroStrategy's wallet. I'm curious to see how much he personally has. I don't think that's public knowledge.
What's funny is everyone was freaking out because there was an SEC filing came out for MicroStrategy, and in it said we might have to sell our Bitcoin to cover our debt. Well, something like that. I'm paraphrasing here. Everyone's like, did you guys see? He said they're going to sell it, and then he goes out and buys more Bitcoin. And so
the thing is it is a publicly traded company. They are borrowing. They are borrowing to buy. So there are market conditions that can be triggered to where they're going to be required to sell. It's just the reality of it. Now, it's not going to be, it is quote unquote for selling, but in the same way that you buy behind the scenes and you don't know he's pulled the trigger until afterwards, the same is going to happen on sells too. So it's gonna be like, hey, you know what? Because of market conditions, we were forced to sell, say, 2,000 Bitcoin, and we sold it 3 weeks ago, and it's not going to be on the books. And so I don't know. I think it's not that big of a deal. I think a lot of people overblow these dynamics. But kind of to circle back with Sweden. I mean, you got MicroStrategy buying. You have Sweden.
Yeah.
And so they're coming out buying. We have rumors that China is buying. There's a lot of trades. There's trade rumors going on that
Pakistan is going to be mining Bitcoin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
With their extra electricity. Sorry.
There you go. Yeah, anyways, the narrative here is that there is a shrinking supply with an increase in demand, and we are mining less than we were a year ago post halving. So if you're ever kind of doubtful on the direction of the market, where the price of Bitcoin and the alts, which of course will follow with the rally in Bitcoin, you don't need to go much further than just to simply look at the headline narratives. There was not buying to this nature during the bear market and even last bull market. And so do we still see a $200, $300, $400, $500,000 Bitcoin? Abso-fucking-lutely. And so I would encourage you to take advantage of prices now, identify what is undervalued, and start getting a position if you have any capital left on the side. You know what? Get your money up because it is time to buy. I would highly recommend getting whatever capital you can together to take advantage of market prices because it's about to take off, man.
Last chance, baby.
It's the last chance, baby.
What was I going to say? Oh, let's talk about Ethereum. The Securities and Exchange Commission delays their decision on Ethereum staking for Grayscale's ETF until June 1st of 2025. A lot of people looked at this as this is the one saving grace to pull Ethereum out of that large hole filled with bats that Batman fell into during the Batman Begins movie. But no one's helping ETH up there, at least not till June 1st. And so I think staking is going to bring value to Ethereum from an investor standpoint. But I don't think it's the only thing. But either way, delaying it to June 1st. I don't know. You got any thoughts on this? Like, I think it'll happen. Just obviously not right now. Do you think it'll happen? Just real quick. You don't see this as like, oh my God, they're going to just delay, deny.
No, you know what? If the SEC decided to take no action against Haktua, I'm being somewhat comical, but I'm really not. Like, an obvious, blatant fraud, or at least fraud by people in her circle. And they literally looked at it and were like, no.
You know why, right?
They dropped every single lawsuit. Every single lawsuit.
You know why, right?
Why?
Because Trump launched his own meme coin.
Yeah.
How would they go after her and everyone else and not go after Trump?
But that's my whole point, is that they're not going after meme coins. They dropped all their lawsuits. And so there's obviously a directional change at the SEC. I see no reason for them to deny this. And if it was staking on, say, another chain that's a little less prominent than ETH, then sure, you can make that argument. But I mean, there's already futures-based trading. There's already the spot ETF. And so why not add this to its use case and utility? They're always trying to say they're trying to foster innovation. That's kind of like the thing with the executive branch, Donald Trump, that they want to make crypto here in America, or build it here in America, make it the capital, whatever terms they're using. And what a better way to usher in utility and lead by example as far as a nation than to do this. And so it's coming for sure. Now, will it have any move on the price? Probably not. But
last thing, speaking of Trump, 40 million tokens are unlocking this week. Please be careful, guys. These are all insider tokens. So are they going to dump? I don't know, but this is the news. Anyways, that'll do it for the show today. I want to thank you all very much for tuning in. I will be going live today at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to break down the charts, our special TA and fundamental show here on Sin City Crypto. And so we're looking at some potential trade setups. Maybe we'll put a trade in live. Been doing that a lot lately, and they've been hitting. So come join us. Also, go join our Discord. Hop in there. It's completely free to join our Discord, and then just work your way through the channels. A lot of good stuff in there. And with that being said, Rocco.
Sin City Crypto. Cash is Cuvée. Yeah. Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners.